For 40 years, my mornings had a rhythm. The shrill of an alarm clock, the rush of a commute, the endless ping of new emails. My life had a soundtrack, the low hum of an office, the tap of keyboards, the steady current of meetings, projects, and deadlines. And then, one Monday morning, nothing. Just silence. Retirement. The golden goal I had worked toward for decades. But instead of freedom, I felt lost. I stared at my calendar, and instead of seeing possibility, I saw a blank white void stretching out for 30 years. Who was I without the job title on my business card? For the first time in decades, I didn't know how to answer the question, what do you do? And I had a terrifying thought, is this all there is? That fear could have swallowed me whole, but instead, it became my catalyst. I decided that I would not stumble blindly into this new chapter. I gave myself 3 years. 3 years to treat my retirement like an experiment, a living laboratory. I would test, fail, adjust, and discover whether life after work could be about growth instead of decline. The first thing I had to face was identity. For decades, my career had not just been what I did, it was who I was. Stripping it away left me hollow. But as I dug deeper, I realized this wasn't a personal failing. It was biology. Our brains are wired to crave purpose and mastery. In fact, research published in Psychological Science found that people with a clear sense of purpose not only live longer, but they live better, mentally and physically. So the question wasn't, how do I relax? It was, where will I find purpose now? I started small. I volunteered to tutor children at the local library just 2 hours a week. It wasn't much, but it mattered. And that small act, that sense of being useful in a way that had nothing to do with a paycheck, was like lighting a single candle in a dark room. It didn't flood the room with light, but it showed me the switch was there. And that's when I learned the first myth of retirement, the permanent vacation. We're sold the idea that after decades of work, the ultimate reward is endless relaxation, travel, golf, gardening, television, leisure on repeat. And for a little while, I enjoyed it. But after a few months, something unsettling crept in. I was busy, but I wasn't productive. I was rested, but I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't alone. The famous Harvard study of adult development, which has followed people for over 80 years, discovered that the happiest and healthiest individuals were not the ones who put their feet up the highest. They were the ones who leaned into connection and contribution. They replaced work not with idleness, but with something researchers call generativity, the act of giving back, of fostering the next generation. So I pivoted. I began sharing what I knew. I offered free workshops at the community center for young entrepreneurs who couldn't afford a consultant. I passed along the lessons I'd learned in marketing, never expecting much in return. But what I got back was more valuable than any paycheck. Their energy, their curiosity, their passion. It was contagious. Standing in front of that small group, watching their ideas spark to life, I felt more awake and alive than I had in years. By the 3rd year of my experiment, something remarkable happened. I stopped thinking of retirement as empty time to be filled. Instead, I began to design what I now call my time portfolio. Just as an investment portfolio balances risk and reward, I began balancing my time across 4 essential areas. First, social, deepening old friendships and creating new ones. Second, physical, not just exercise, but learning new skills like pickleball. Yes, I became that guy. Third, mental. What began as tutoring grew into a full program that challenged me as much as it helped others. And finally, pure joy. Time carved out without guilt for grandkids, travel, and yes, still a little golf. This portfolio didn't trap me in schedules. It freed me. It gave structure without confinement. It gave me metrics of success that had nothing to do with money and everything to do with vitality. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had retired from something. I felt like I had retired to something. I wasn't winding down. I was refired. Looking back at those 3 years, The results of my little laboratory experiment were clear. First, identity is not found in your old title. It's built, piece by piece, through small acts of purpose. Second, the permanent vacation is a fast track to restlessness. Our brains are not built for endless leisure. They thrive on challenge and contribution. And third, the most successful retirement isn't about stepping back. It's about redesigning forward. It's not about age. It's about energy. It's not about consumption. It's about contribution. So if you're staring at your own blank calendar, if the silence after the alarm clock feels like a void, I want you to know something. Retirement isn't the end of your story. It can be the beginning of your most meaningful chapter yet. Your career was just one season. Your life is the adventure. If this resonates with you, if you want practical ways to design your own time portfolio, or to hear more real stories from the front lines of this post-career revolution, then I'd love for you to join me. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and think of it as joining our retirement lab. And in the comments, tell me, what are you retiring to? Because that's the real question. Thanks for watching. Now go design it.